Hey, what's up? My name's Samuel Leeds. Welcome back to my channel. This is a property investment channel where I help as many of my subscribers as possible become financially free, meaning that they can leave their jobs through property investment. Often it happens within a matter of 12 months. It can take longer, but the more videos you watch and the more you take action, the quicker it's likely to happen. So if you enjoy my channel, please do me a massive favor and smash the like button. Also, if you're not subscribed, that is the first step to becoming financially free. So subscribe to the channel right now, turn the notification bell on, and in this video, I'm going to be answering questions from my subscribers. So if you'd like me to answer one of your questions, whether it be around property or business, finance, I will do my very best to answer your question. So comment below in the comment box and I'll answer your questions next week. Let's see what questions we had last week. And while I'm answering questions, please do feel free as I'm answering questions to, if you get an offshoot of a question, just throughout the video, comment your question below. So we had SW say, when you're offering a lease option agreement, do you make sure that they have a buy-to-let mortgage, or if they just have a standard mortgage, can you rent it out like that? Hope you can reply, mate. Of course I can reply. That's what I do. So if you're doing a lease option agreement, which is when you buy a house now and you pay for it later, I think the question is, in the meantime, when you've controlling the property, can you rent it out if it's got a mortgage? And the answer is yes, you can. If, number one, the mortgage is a buy-to-let mortgage. Number two, if there's no mortgage. Number three, if you have consent to rent it out. The only reason you wouldn't be able to rent it out would be if it was on a residential mortgage and the lender prohibited the property from being rented out while that mortgage was still in place. If that happens, all you need to do is get the owner to ask for a letter of consent, which normally they'll do, because normally the lender, especially if there's been a change of circumstances with the owner, normally the lender just wants their interest paid. So with a letter of consent, you don't have to refinance, you can rent the property out. Sometimes they say no, in which case you might just have to find another property. Hope that helps. Okay, Lusa G, should I do BRRR method in a place as London where I'm starting out, or should I do it in a cheaper place with cheaper houses starting out? Okay, so if you're doing a buy refurbish refinance deal, it does work in London or the outskirts of London very well. It also works in cheaper areas. Some pros and cons I'll say is the pros of doing it near London is, number one, you live there, so you're going to be able to manage the property easier, and also you know the area well, and you need to know the area well. The cons of doing it in or around London is houses are really expensive. So you're going to probably need more money initially to put down up front, even though you'll hopefully get it back upon the refinance. But also, when you do refinance, it might be that the rent doesn't really cover the mortgage because houses are so expensive around London. So it might be better starting off further up north. You get the experience up north, you'll be able to get more cash flow, and then once you've understand the strategy and you've done it, potentially consider moving closer to home. But there really are pros and cons to each. So I would just say, make sure you're comfortable, you know the area well, and ultimately the numbers stack up. If you're enjoying the video, by the way, don't forget to hit like. Okay, Top Man says, hi Samuel, I don't feel good raising rents on current tenants. I feel you, bro. I do feel you. Will I lose a lot of money not doing this? Or will the increased turnover from raising rents balance it out? God bless you and your family. So Top Man, it's really interesting. My philosophy on raising rents is this. Generally speaking, I like to reward my tenants for staying a long period of time by not increasing the rents as much as I could. So let me give you an example. I've got properties in Birmingham and I've got tenants in there paying £700. They've been paying £700 for years. I know that I could very easily rent it for £900 a month. But the thing is, they've been in there years, I like them, they're really low maintenance, they plan on staying there a very long time. So I made the decision, instead of putting the rent up to 900, to put the rent up just to 775. That way, they're still getting a really good deal. They're not gonna move out, but then I'm putting the rents up, but it's a bit of a compromise. So I would probably advise, don't be a mug. Don't just leave the rents. And you know, if the rent's worth £1,000, but they're paying 500, I wouldn't just be like, oh well. But at the same time, I'm not going to push it up to the actual market value necessarily. I might do it a little bit lower, just as a way of saying thank you for them being long-standing tenants. Hope that helps. Okay, next, Max Seaman. I've seen a rundown commercial property near my area, something ideally to be turned into flats. The property isn't on the market, just wondering how you'd go about approaching the vendor. So what I would do is, if there's a rundown commercial property, you think it could be flats, is I would send a letter to the owner. You can find their details on landregistry.com. Ask them if they're open to selling. If they are, I would see if I could take that property on a 12-month option agreement. And then I'd say, look, what do you want for the property? Let's say they say, I want 500 grand. But you know that if it had planning permission, it would be worth 700 grand. And if you turned it into flats, it would be worth 1.2 million. So you're going to get an option agreement for, say, 600 grand. Of course, I don't know the property, so I'm just giving hypothetical figures. But you ask them what they want, and you say, look, I'll give you that figure in 12 months. You then secure it on an option agreement, so you have the option to buy in 12 months. And between now and the 12 months, what are you going to do? You're going to get planning permission. You're going to push the value up, meaning that in 12 months, you've got yourself an absolutely fantastic property. That's my best advice. Hope that helps. Rose Jackson. If I become a landlady and I move my mom in there, for example, can I charge her the same rate as everyone else, or could I have her a lower rate since she's family? And why do private landlords and ladies are not so keen on people getting rent paid through benefits? Rose Jackson, of course you can charge a less. You can charge a tenant whatever you want. In property, you can, as long as you've got a willing buyer and a willing seller, you can buy and sell at the price you want. You can, unless you're trying to avoid stamp duty, you buy really, really, really cheap and then do a backhander. But generally speaking, you can buy and sell for the price you want. You can rent and let at the price you want. So if your mom wants to move in, you want to give her a reduced rate, you can absolutely do that. Why don't people like renting to people on benefits? Because it's not their demographic, it's not their market. Your house is your product and your tenant is your customer. And in your business, you have your own market. Some people love renting to people on benefits, other people don't. It just depends on what their business model is. Okay, Joe Brink. With a lease option agreement, would it be wise to get the agent to ask the seller if he would consider, or would that be trying to cut the middleman out? And would the agent try to talk me down from that idea, as it would prolong the sale of the property? Would it be best to try and contact the seller directly to ask this question? When I see potential lease option agreements, I always write to the seller direct. I cut the agent out. Now you might think, but that's bad. But the reason is because these houses that I've got negative equity, they've often been sitting on Rightmove for 10 years. They can't sell them because the houses are underwater. They're upside down mortgages. They're in negative equity. So I'll cut the agent out, because if I try and explain it to the agent, I'll confuse them. And if you confuse them, you lose them. And then once I've got the lease option agreement secured, I'll go back to the agent and I say, hey, this property, 32 Church Road, it was actually on with you. It's been on for 7 years. You couldn't sell it because of this, that, and the other reason. However, I've just secured it on a lease option agreement deal. This is what happened. Can I pay your commission? And then what will often happen is then the agent will say, you know what, I've got a whole bunch more of those. And then you can get a whole bunch more. They'll become your free, no money down lease option deal sources. Hope that helps. Okay, Abdullah. Do you need an NDA while deal sourcing? Yes, you need a non-disclosure agreement when deal sourcing, always, if you're giving the details up front, whether it be co-deal sourcing, bespoke sourcing, or deal sourcing. I have £30,000 in savings. Is this enough to be financially free? Well, no, not unless you know what you're doing. £30,000, is it enough to be financially free? Well, that's going to be gone in a year because it's going to cost about 30 grand just to live, roof over your head and eat. So unless you learn the skills of securing properties, controlling properties, maximizing rents, it doesn't matter if you've got 0, 30 or 300 grand. It's all about who has the skills, not who has the money. What's the best way to remortgage? With a broker. All right, last question. Nicole Ruppel. I'm just turning 16. Congratulations for being on the channel. And I really, really, really want to get into property. Obviously, I can't own property as a child, but I will gather capital for the next 2 years. What's the best strategy to invest in property once I turn 18? Okay, so I had the same problem. I started out when I was 17. I was thinking, I can't wait to turn 18. I can buy houses. And then someone told me you need to be 21 to get a buy-to-let mortgage. I thought, I'm not waiting 4 years. So then I got super creative. And as a teenager, if you're 16, 17, 18, 19, you don't necessarily have to buy houses to make money from them. You can package and sell deals. You can control properties. There's a lot of things you can do as an entrepreneur without having to actually own a property. So I would start doing that. And then when you're old enough, or if you can pull a joint venture partner, start building your own portfolio. Hope you found this video helpful. Ask your comments and questions below. I'll do my best to answer. Thanks for watching. Peace out. God bless.